Evening. Welcome to house groups. This is our very first week of in-person men's groups. We are happy that you're here, whether you're attending in person or if you're attending through Zoom. We're just pumped that you're here at house groups tonight. We are in week 3 now of our endurance series on Hebrews chapter 12, and this week we're talking about the topic of holiness. I think, like a lot of passages that we've covered in Hebrews chapter 12, this isn't really a really popular topic in churches nowadays, but it is a big deal in the Bible. Our passage tells us today that without holiness, no one will see the Lord. Christians are called to be holy like God is holy. Holiness is to be set apart. It's to strive to be pure, to be unpolluted by sin. That is our aim. Not that we're going to do it well, but that is the direction we are to aim as Christians, because without holiness, no one will see the Lord. Because if you're giving a permission to the pollutant of sin to just move into your life and stay in your life, you won't see the Lord. Sin will cloud your vision. I think this is one of the reasons that so many people in America have a lukewarm faith. It's like we all love the grace of Jesus, but we nowadays tend to be strangely ambivalent about holiness. And yet we're told in our passage, don't be godless like Esau, who picked temporary pleasure over a life of godliness. And we're told to avoid sexual immorality, for sexual sins tend to pollute us in a really exponential manner. And I think modern American Christians are more lax on sexual sin than we have been at any time in American history. We're not pursuing holiness, and thus we're not really seeing the Lord move in our land. And I think one of the reasons that we're not pursuing holiness is we don't know how to, or we don't know how to do it effectively. The only method that most of us know is just to try harder to fight against our sin. And honestly, you know that doesn't work if you've tried it a couple times. Because in your flesh, in your own willpower, you don't have the power to set yourself free from sin. Only the Spirit has that power. If you haven't read it yet, open up Romans chapter 7 and chapter 8 and read that this week. And I think it'll just open up your eyes to this process. It's you pursuing God that gives you the power to also pursue holiness. Titus chapter 2, verses 11 through 12 says it this way. It says, "For the grace of God has appeared that offers salvation to all people." That's the grace of God. It's God moving in you, teaches us to say no to ungodliness and worldly passions and to live self-controlled, upright, godly lives in this present age. So what that's saying is, it's not you trying harder that gives you more holiness. It's you letting the grace of God into your life and seeking God that allows God to come into your life, which allows you to pursue holiness. Let me say one last thing about holiness. I think another reason that we don't pursue it, like this passage says, is because a lot of us only view holiness as an absence of something. Like we only see, and that's not really inspiring, right? Like if you only see holiness as the absence of sin, it's kind of like, okay. But I suppose that is somewhat true, right? There is less sin if you're pursuing holiness. But here's the thing. Holiness is not just an absence, but it's an addition of something. Because the more you pursue God's way of life, the more you see God. Right? Without holiness, no one will see the Lord. But with holiness, you will see the Lord. And you'll experience more and more of God moving in your life. And you'll find that holiness is not a drag, but it's something that will lift you up to new heights in your experience with the Lord. So pursue it. Amen.